What if I told you that the most talked about moment at one of the biggest celebrity weddings of the decade wasn't the dress, wasn't the venue, wasn't even the vows. It was a surprise that nobody, and I mean nobody, saw coming. We're talking about Selena Gomez. We're talking about Taylor Swift. And we're talking about a friendship so deep, so loyal, so genuinely rare in Hollywood, that it turned an already magical day into something that people are still talking about, and honestly, probably will be talking about for years to come. So buckle up, because this story, it has everything. Romance, friendship, tears, laughter, secret plans, and one moment that made an entire room go completely silent before erupting into something that can only be described as pure, electric joy. Let's go back to the beginning. Because to understand why this moment hit so hard, you have to understand the story behind it. And that story starts a long, long time ago. Let's rewind. Picture this. It's the mid-2000s. The Disney Channel is basically the center of the universe for an entire generation of kids. Hannah Montana is on every lunchbox. High School Musical is playing on every television. And somewhere in that glittering, slightly surreal world of early fame and constant camera flashes, two young girls are finding their footing. One of them is Selena Gomez. She's got big brown eyes, a voice that could melt ice, and a smile that makes you feel like everything is going to be okay. She's from Grand Prairie, Texas. She's the daughter of a single mom who worked incredibly hard to give her daughter a shot at her dreams. And now here she is, on the Disney Channel, acting, singing, becoming a star. But inside, she's still just a teenage girl trying to figure out who she is. The other one is Taylor Swift. She's from Pennsylvania. She's got curly blonde hair and she carries a guitar like it's an extension of her arm. She writes songs about her feelings, songs that feel so honest and so real that millions of people immediately feel like she's singing their exact thoughts back to them. She's country at first. Then she's pop. Then she's everything. But in those early days, she's just Taylor. A girl with a notebook full of lyrics and a dream that's already coming true faster than she can keep up with. These two girls, Selena and Taylor, they meet somewhere in that crazy, overwhelming world of early Hollywood fame. And something clicks. Something genuine. Something that doesn't happen very often when you're famous, because when you're famous, it's really, really hard to know who actually likes you versus who likes what you represent. But with Selena and Taylor, it was real from day one. And here's the thing about their friendship that makes it so special. Both of them have been through the kind of experiences that would break most people. Both of them have faced unimaginable public scrutiny. Both of them have had their personal lives dissected by strangers on the internet. Both of them have cried tears that nobody was supposed to see. And both of them have shown up for each other, again and again and again, without hesitation, without conditions, without an agenda. That's rare. That's so rare. Especially in the world they live in. Now let's talk about Selena's journey. Because you cannot tell this story without understanding where Selena has been. 4 years, and we're talking many, many years, Selena Gomez was one of the most recognizable faces on the planet. Her music was everywhere. Her face was on every magazine. Her name was in every headline. And yet, behind all of that, she was quietly carrying something incredibly heavy. In 2015, Selena announced that she was stepping back from the spotlight. She was exhausted. She was dealing with anxiety and depression. And she was managing something that very few people knew the full extent of at the time, the effects of lupus, an autoimmune disease that had been quietly attacking her body for years. People talked. Of course they did. The internet had opinions. Everyone had opinions. But through all of it, Taylor Swift was there. Consistently. Quietly. Not posting about it for likes. Not turning Selena's pain into a PR moment for herself. Just there. Calling. Checking in. Showing up. Then in 2017, Selena received news that changed everything. Her kidneys were failing. She needed a transplant. And her best friend, Francia Reisa, donated one of her own kidneys to save Selena's life. The world stopped when that news broke. People who had been dismissive of Selena suddenly saw her in a completely different light. This wasn't a pop star having a rough patch. This was a young woman who had been quietly fighting for her life while somehow still showing up for everyone around her. Taylor was one of the first people there. Of course she was. And then Selena kept going. She released music. She launched her makeup brand, Rare Beauty, which became a massive, massive success, not just as a beauty company, but as a mental health advocacy platform. She spoke openly about her struggles. She refused to be defined by her lowest moments. She became, in a very real way, an inspiration to millions of people who were fighting their own invisible battles. But through all of it, through the health scares, through the public scrutiny, through the heartbreaks and the comebacks and the reinventions, she carried something that you could see in her eyes if you looked closely enough. She was still searching for something. Something quiet. Something real. Something that had nothing to do with cameras or stages or chart positions. She was looking for love. Real love. The kind that stays. And then came Benny Blanco. Now, if you don't know who Benny Blanco is, let me paint you a picture. Benny Blanco is a music producer. And when I say he's successful, I mean this man has produced some of the biggest songs of the last 2 decades. We're talking songs for Katy Perry, Ed Sheeran, Maroon 5, Justin Bieber, Rihanna. The list goes on and on and on. He's been behind the scenes of so many hits that you've probably sung in the shower without ever knowing his name. He's also funny. Like, genuinely, dorky, endearingly funny. He's not your typical Hollywood heartthrob. He's not showing up to events in perfectly tailored suits looking like he just stepped off a runway. He's the guy who shows up with a big smile and makes everyone in the room feel comfortable. He's warm. He's real. He's the kind of person who makes you feel like you can just breathe. Selena and Benny had been friends for a while before anything romantic developed. They'd collaborated musically. They'd been in the same circles. And then, quietly, something shifted. In late 2023, rumors started swirling. Were they together? Were they just friends? The internet did what the internet does. It speculated wildly. Some people were supportive. Some people were less than kind, let's say that. There were people online who questioned whether Benny was good enough for Selena, which is a pretty wild thing to say about someone you've never met, but welcome to the internet. But Selena didn't care about any of that. And you could tell. Because for the first time in a long time, she looked genuinely, completely, radiantly happy. She posted about him. She talked about him in interviews. She called him her best friend. She said things like, "He's the best thing that's ever happened to me." And the way she said it, the way her whole face lit up, you believed her. You really believed her. And Taylor believed her too. Taylor could see it. And Taylor was thrilled. Now, before we get to the wedding, and yes, we are absolutely getting to the wedding, I promise, we need to talk about something else. We need to talk about what Selena and Taylor's friendship actually looks like in real life. Because it's not what you might imagine. It's not red carpets and VIP tables and perfectly coordinated Instagram posts. Well, sometimes it's that. But mostly, it's something quieter and realer than that. It's Taylor showing up at Selena's place when things are hard. It's Selena being in the front row at Taylor's concerts, singing every single word, with the biggest smile on her face, because she's not just watching a performance. She's watching her best friend do what she was born to do. It's inside jokes that the rest of the world doesn't know about. It's phone calls that last for hours. It's the kind of friendship where you can show up without makeup, without pretending to be okay, and the other person will just sit with you and make you tea and not say anything until you're ready to talk. That's what they have. And that's why, when it came time for Selena to plan the most important day of her life, Taylor wasn't just on the guest list. Taylor was at the center of everything. Because that's what you do when someone is your person. You put them at the center. Let's set the scene. Close your eyes for a second. Well, don't actually close your eyes because then you can't listen, but you know what I mean. Imagine it. It's a warm, golden evening. The kind of evening where the light does that magical thing where everything it touches looks like it's glowing from the inside. The venue is breathtaking, elegant without being cold, romantic without being over the top. There are flowers everywhere. Soft, warm flowers in colors that feel like a sunset. Candles flickering on every surface. The kind of soft, warm light that makes everyone look like they're in a movie. The guests are arriving. And when I say guests, I mean, this is not a small gathering. This is a collection of some of the most recognizable, most talented, most celebrated people in the entertainment world. Famous faces everywhere you look. And yet, somehow, the atmosphere feels intimate. It feels personal. It feels like love. Because that's what Selena and Benny wanted. They didn't want a spectacle. They wanted a celebration. A real one. The kind where people actually feel something. The ceremony itself is everything you would hope for. Benny, standing at the altar, looking like he can't quite believe how lucky he is. Selena, walking down the aisle in a gown that stops conversation. The kind of dress that makes everyone in the room hold their breath for just a moment, because you can feel the weight of the moment. This is real. This is happening. The vows are personal and heartfelt. There are tears. Good tears. The kind that come from somewhere deep and true. And when they say, "I do," the room erupts in the kind of applause that comes from people who are genuinely, truly happy for two people they love. But here's the thing. The ceremony, beautiful as it is, as emotional as it is, it's not the moment everyone is going to be talking about. That moment comes later. The reception is in full swing. The music is playing. People are dancing, talking, laughing, eating. The champagne is flowing. The energy in the room is exactly what you want it to be on a night like this, warm and celebratory and full of the kind of joy that you can actually feel in your chest. And then someone goes to the microphone. And that someone is Taylor Swift. Now, let me be clear about something. Taylor Swift showing up to Selena's wedding is not a surprise. Of course she's there. Of course she is. She's Selena's best friend. She's been there for every major moment of Selena's adult life. There is no version of this wedding where Taylor Swift is not in the front row, crying happy tears and cheering the loudest. But what Taylor does next? That's the surprise. Because Taylor didn't just show up as a guest. Taylor came prepared. She walks up to that microphone with something in her hand. And when the room realizes what's happening, when it becomes clear that Taylor Swift, one of the biggest artists in the history of recorded music, is about to perform something at her best friend's wedding, the room goes quiet. Not an awkward quiet. Not a confused quiet. A held breath. Every single person in this room is completely present quiet. The kind of quiet that only happens when something truly special is about to occur. And then she starts to play. What comes next is something that nobody in that room will ever forget. Because Taylor Swift, who could have performed any song, who has a catalog deep enough to fill an entire night and then some, Taylor Swift performs something that she wrote specifically for this moment. Something new. Something that nobody has ever heard before. Something written entirely for Selena and Benny. Let that sink in for a second. Taylor Swift wrote a brand new song for her best friend's wedding and performed it live, in front of everyone, as a surprise. The song, by all accounts from people who were in that room, is gorgeous. It talks about friendship. About watching someone you love find the person they were meant to find. It talks about the journey, the hard parts and the beautiful parts, and it talks about what it feels like to stand in a room and watch your best friend become completely, fully, wholly happy. People are crying before the first verse is even finished. And we're not talking about a single tear rolling elegantly down someone's cheek. We're talking about full, unashamed, happy sobbing. People reaching for their napkins. People squeezing each other's hands. People looking at the people they love and feeling something big and warm and true. And Selena. Selena is standing there in her wedding dress, and she can barely breathe. Because she had no idea. She genuinely had no idea this was coming. And all she can do is stand there and let it wash over her, this song, this gift, this extraordinary act of love from her best friend, and just feel it. All of it. Benny has his arm around her, and he's watching Taylor perform, and you can see on his face that he gets it. He understands what this means. He understands what Taylor means to Selena. And he loves them both for it. Now, I want to pause here for a second. Because I think it's worth thinking about what this moment actually represents. What it says about the people involved. Think about what it takes to do something like that. Taylor Swift is, by any measure, one of the busiest, most in-demand artists on the planet. Her schedule is not her own. Her time is not her own. Every minute of her day is accounted for, planned, organized, optimized. And yet she carved out time, real time, significant time, to sit down and write a song. Not for an album. Not for a chart. Not for streams or sales or any kind of commercial purpose. Just for Selena. Just because she loves her. Just because she wanted to give her something that nobody else could give her. That's not a PR move. That's not a calculated moment for brand building. That is just a person who loves another person, doing the most beautiful, generous, purely human thing they could think of. And in a world that is so often cynical, so often transactional, so often obsessed with what's in it for me, that is extraordinary. That is the kind of friendship that makes you believe in people again. Let's talk about what happened after. Obviously, something like this doesn't stay quiet. Weddings have guests. Guests have phones. And even with the most carefully managed, most private, most controlled events in the world, moments like this have a way of finding their way out into the world. The first whispers started appearing online within hours of the reception ending. People talking in vague, excited terms about something that happened. Something big. Something unexpected. Something involving Taylor. The entertainment media picked it up almost immediately. And then the speculation started. What happened? What did she do? Did she perform? Did she make a speech? What was the song? And then, slowly, carefully, details began to emerge. And as they did, the reaction online was something that you don't see very often in the age of internet discourse, where seemingly everything gets turned into a debate or a criticism or a competition. The reaction was just joy. Pure, uncomplicated, everyone agrees on this joy. People who love Taylor. People who love Selena. People who don't particularly follow either of them but heard about what happened. Everyone, essentially, reacting to this story with the same basic feeling. That's beautiful. That's really, genuinely beautiful. Comments everywhere. Millions of them. People saying things like, "This is what real friendship looks like." People saying, "I'm crying and I wasn't even there." People saying, "This is the content I needed today." People sharing the story with their own best friends, tagging them, saying things like, "You'd do this for me, right?" with a string of crying laughing emojis. Because here's the thing about a moment like this. It resonates so widely because it touches something universal. Most of us don't have famous best friends. Most of us are never going to have Taylor Swift perform a song at our wedding. But most of us understand what it feels like to have someone who really, truly shows up for you. And seeing it represented so vividly, so beautifully, in front of everyone, it reminds us of what matters. It reminds us to cherish the people in our lives who would do anything for us. It reminds us that in all the noise and chaos of the world, the thing that actually sustains us is each other. Now, let's go a little deeper. Because there's a layer to this story that I think is really important, and I don't want to skip over it. Selena Gomez has spent a significant portion of her adult life dealing with public narratives that she didn't write and didn't choose. She's been the subject of tabloid stories, social media pile-ons, fan theories, and public scrutiny in ways that most people can't even imagine. And through a lot of that time, one of the things that kept her grounded, one of the things that kept her sane and whole, was her friendship with Taylor. There's something incredibly powerful about having someone in your life who knew you before you were famous. Before the fame, before the scrutiny, before all of it. Someone who just knows you. Not the version of you that exists in headlines or on red carpets, but the real you. The one who gets scared. The one who makes mistakes. The one who doesn't always have it together. Taylor is that person for Selena. And Selena is that person for Taylor. They've watched each other grow up in front of the entire world, which is one of the strangest and most bonding experiences two people can share. And through all of it, the public highs and the private lows, they've remained each other's constants. So when Taylor stands up at that microphone at Selena's wedding and performs a song that she wrote just for this moment, she's not just giving Selena a wedding gift. She's saying something. She's saying, "I have been here. I have watched you fight for your life, literally and figuratively. I have watched you fall and get back up and fall again and get back up again. I have watched you build something beautiful out of some really hard circumstances. And now I am watching you walk into the next chapter of your life, and I am so proud of you. I am so proud of who you are. And I am so grateful that I get to be your friend." That's what that moment is. That's what that song is. It's not just music. It's a declaration of love. The platonic, loyal, lifelong kind. The kind that doesn't get enough songs written about it, honestly. Let's talk about Benny for a second. Because Benny Blanco in all of this is, honestly, one of the most important parts of the story. Because here's the thing. When you're dating, and eventually marrying, someone who has a best friendship as deep and as important as the one Selena has with Taylor, that requires a certain kind of person. It requires someone who is secure. Someone who understands that the love between two best friends isn't competition. It's not a threat. It's a gift. And from everything we know about Benny Blanco, he gets that completely. He has spoken about Selena and Taylor's friendship with nothing but warmth. He has never publicly or privately made Selena feel like she has to choose or compartmentalize or dial anything back. He embraces the full picture of who Selena is, and that picture very much includes her friendship with Taylor. And here's the beautiful part. By the end of Taylor's performance at the wedding, Benny isn't just moved by the music, though the music is clearly extraordinary. He's moved by the love in that room. The love between his wife and her best friend. The love that has sustained Selena through some of the hardest moments of her life. And in witnessing that love, he becomes part of it. He becomes connected to it. Because that's what happens when you marry someone. You don't just marry them. You marry everything and everyone that made them who they are. And who Selena is, in no small part, is a person who was shaped by a friendship with Taylor Swift. A friendship built on loyalty and honesty and showing up and never, ever letting go. So when Taylor sings at that wedding, she's also singing to Benny. She's saying, take care of her. She's saying, welcome to this. She's saying, you're part of this family now. And we're glad you're here. There's a moment, and I want to tell you about this specifically because I think it captures everything. There's a moment, right near the end of Taylor's performance, where she stops playing and just looks at Selena. Just for a second. And Selena looks back at her. And nothing is said. No words. No gesture. Just two people looking at each other across a room full of people, in the middle of one of the most significant nights of either of their lives. And in that look, somehow, everything is communicated. Every year of friendship. Every late-night phone call. Every difficult moment that was made slightly more bearable because the other person was there. Every laugh, every cry, every inside joke, every moment of showing up when the world felt too heavy to carry alone. All of it. In one look. People in that room who witnessed it later described it as one of the most moving things they'd ever seen at any event, anywhere. Not because it was dramatic. Not because it was theatrical. But because it was so real. So unperformed. So completely, purely human. This is what love looks like, they said. This is what it looks like in real life. Let's zoom out for a second and think about the bigger picture here. Because I think this story matters beyond the celebrity angle. Beyond the famous names and the glamorous wedding and the extraordinary musical performance. I think this story matters because of what it says about friendship. About loyalty. About the kind of relationships that actually last. We live in a world that is obsessed with romantic love. Every song, every movie, every story seems to be about finding the one. The person who completes you. The person who makes everything make sense. And look, romantic love is real and it's beautiful, and Selena and Benny are a testament to that. But this moment, this specific, particular, extraordinary moment, is about something else. It's about platonic love. It's about the love between friends. It's about the fact that the people who sustain us through the hardest parts of our lives are sometimes not our romantic partners, but our chosen family. Our best friends. The people who knew us when, and who love us anyway, and who would write us a song and perform it at our wedding just to make sure we know how much we mean to them. That's the heart of this story. And I think that's why it landed so hard, and so wide, and so deep, with so many people who have nothing to do with Hollywood or pop music or celebrity culture. Because everyone understands that. Everyone has someone, or wishes they had someone, who would do that for them. Now I want to tell you something that happened in the days after the wedding that I think is really beautiful and kind of ties the whole thing together. Selena, in the aftermath of everything, posted something on social media. Not a long, elaborate statement. Not a carefully crafted press release. Just a simple post. A photo, and a few words. The photo was of her and Taylor, at some point during the wedding night. They're holding hands. They're both smiling so big that their eyes are almost closed. They look, honestly, like two people who can't quite believe how happy they are. And the words Selena wrote? She said something to the effect of, "Some people come into your life and just make everything better. I am so lucky that you are mine." That's it. That's the whole post. And the response? Millions of likes. Millions of comments. People from every corner of the world, in every language, responding to this simple, quiet expression of gratitude and love. Because it's not complicated. It doesn't need to be. Some things are just true, and simple and beautiful. Some people come into your life and make everything better. If you're lucky, you get to keep them forever. I want to take a moment here to talk about what this means for Selena's story going forward. Because this wedding isn't just a chapter, it's a turning point. It's the beginning of something new. Selena Gomez has been through more in her life than most people can comprehend. She's fought for her health, her sanity, her sense of self. She's had to figure out who she is outside of the roles that other people wanted to cast her in. She's had to learn, the hard way, that loving yourself is not a destination but a practice, something you have to choose, again and again, especially when it's hard. And now, here she is. Married to someone who loves her completely. Surrounded by friends who would move mountains for her. Running a business, Rare Beauty, that is not just wildly successful but genuinely making a difference in how people talk about mental health and beauty and self-worth. Creating music that connects with people on a deep and real level. She's in the best chapter of her life. And everyone who loves her, including Taylor, including all of us who have followed her story from the beginning, can see it. Can feel it. Can celebrate it. This wedding wasn't just a beautiful party. It was a milestone. It was proof. It was Selena Gomez standing at the center of her own life and saying, "I made it. I made it through everything, and I am here, and I am happy, and I am loved." And Taylor Swift, standing at that microphone with a brand new song she wrote just for this moment, was saying it right back to her. Let me tell you something about why friendships like this survive. Because most friendships don't. Statistics, experience, just knowing how life works. Most people know that the friends you have at 20 aren't necessarily the friends you have at 30. Life gets in the way. People change. Priorities shift. The intimacy of early friendship gets replaced by the busyness of adult life, and suddenly you're looking at someone you used to know everything about and realizing you barely know them anymore. That doesn't happen with Selena and Taylor. And I think it's worth asking why. Part of it is intentionality. These two have clearly decided, again and again, that this friendship is worth protecting. Worth investing in. Worth showing up for even when they're both busy and famous and the world is pulling them in 1,000 different directions. Part of it is shared experience. They have been through similar things, the unique, specific pressures of being a young woman in the spotlight, having your every decision scrutinized, navigating fame and the strange world that comes with it, and that shared experience creates a bond that is hard to replicate. But I think the biggest part of it is something simpler. They genuinely like each other. They genuinely enjoy being around each other. They make each other laugh. They make each other feel seen. They bring out something good in each other. And when you find someone who does that, who makes you feel genuinely, fully yourself, who makes you better just by being around them, you hold on. You hold on and you don't let go. Because that is one of the rarest, most precious things in this world. Let's talk about what this moment means for Taylor too. Because we often talk about what Taylor does for Selena, and that's valid and important. But the friendship works both ways. It always does, when it's real. Taylor Swift has had her own journey, her own battles, her own moments of questioning everything. She's navigated public scrutiny on a level that is almost incomprehensible. Her relationships have been tabloid fodder, her feuds have been cultural events, her reinventions have been dissected and debated by millions of people who don't know her at all. And through all of that, Selena has been there. Not talking about it publicly. Not making Taylor's hard moments into content. Just being there. Being the friend. Being the constant. So when Taylor gets to stand up at that wedding and perform for Selena, it's not just a gift she's giving. It's also something she gets to feel. The pure, uncomplicated joy of doing something beautiful for someone who deserves it. The relief of being somewhere where there's no subtext, no complicated politics, no walking on eggshells. Just love. Just the two of them, in a room full of people who care, celebrating something genuinely good. For Taylor, who has sometimes struggled to find spaces that feel truly safe, truly genuine, a moment like this is a gift in itself. The gift of being able to show up fully. The gift of doing something real. I want to take you back to that room one more time. One final time. The song is over. Taylor has sung the last note. The last chord is fading into the air. And for a second, just 1 second, the room is completely still. And then it begins. The applause. Not polite applause. Not the restrained, contained kind. The other kind. The kind that builds from a single person clapping and then catches like fire until every single person in that room is on their feet, and the sound is enormous and joyful and full of something that is hard to name but that everyone in that room can feel. Selena and Benny are holding each other. Taylor is standing at the microphone, and she's laughing and crying at the same time, which is a very specific kind of emotion that only comes from doing something that matters. The guests are cheering, some of them still in tears, some of them laughing, all of them feeling something big and warm and true. And somewhere in the middle of all of it, above the noise and the music and the applause, is this moment of quiet understanding. This recognition that something rare has happened tonight. That they have all witnessed something that will stay with them. A testament to what love looks like when it's real. When it lasts. When it shows up. Friendship that writes you a song. Friendship that stands at a microphone and sings it to you in front of everyone. Friendship that says, I was here. I am here. I will always be here. And that, honestly, is the whole story. Or at least, it's the version of the story that matters. Because at the end of the day, strip away the fame and the glamour and the celebrity names and the viral moment and what do you have? You have two women who have been best friends for years. Who have been through real things together. Who have chosen each other, repeatedly, through all of it. And who, on the most important night of one of their lives, showed up for each other in the most extraordinary way they could think of. You have a wedding that was already beautiful becoming something more. Something that will be talked about not because of who was there, but because of what happened. Because of what was said without words. Because of what was sung. You have a reminder, a real, tangible, beautiful reminder, that the things that actually matter in this world are not the things we spend most of our time worrying about. Not the chart positions, or the follower counts, or the box office numbers. Not the headlines, or the hot takes, or the discourse. The things that matter are the people. The relationships. The moments of genuine, unperformed love. The moments where someone says, without any ulterior motive, without any agenda, without anything to gain, you matter to me. You have always mattered to me. And I wanted to find the most beautiful way I could think of to show you that. Selena Gomez got that at her wedding. And the whole world got to witness it. If you've made it this far, I want you to do one thing before you go. Think of your person. Your Taylor. Your Selena. The friend who would show up for you no matter what. The one who knows the real you. The one who has seen you at your worst and loves you anyway. The one who would, maybe not write you a song, but would absolutely do their version of it. Whatever that looks like for them. For you. For your friendship. Think of that person. And then go tell them. Today. Right now, or at least soon. Don't wait for a wedding. Don't wait for a milestone. Don't wait for a viral moment. Just tell them. Hey, you matter to me. You have always mattered to me. I'm glad you're in my life. Because that's the real lesson here. That's what this story, underneath all the sparkle and celebrity, is actually about. The people who make everything better. Hold on to them. Don't let go.